On a hot air balloon tens of thousands of meters in the air, she discovers her husband's infidelity and confronts him in a rage. Watching his wife Emmy dangling in midair, Zach hesitates. It is only when Emmy calls out to him in desperation that Zach finally reaches out his hand. Emmy is losing her grip and tries to grab the crossbar below, but the bar suddenly drops, leaving Zach unable to reach her. Luckily, he spots a nearby rope just in time, but as she hangs there, Emmy suddenly realizes that her husband hesitated just moments ago. Meanwhile, Zach pulls the rope with all his might, but his injuries make it impossible for him to pull Emmy up. To make matters worse, the mountains ahead are facing a massive superstorm. This is the newly released thriller, Turbulence. The wealthy Zach brings his wife to the Netherlands for a vacation, where they are warmly welcomed by the balloon pilot, Harry. But just then, a BMW pulls up. It is the third passenger. Zach visibly tenses up the moment he sees her. After the new passenger Julia boards the hot air balloon, Zach even proposes rebooking a private balloon. But Emmy doesn't want the hassle. Seeing Emmy's persistence, Zach has no choice but to give in, and so the balloon takes flight. Little do they know, almost none of them will make it back in one piece. While enjoying the view, Emmy fails to notice that Julia has been staring at her husband the entire time. Once the balloon reaches a certain altitude, Julia suddenly speaks up.
So you don't recognize me, do you?
No, afraid not.
Okay. Oh, where do you think you've met my husband?
Their conversation alerts Emmy, but Zach continues to deny everything, claiming he only just met her. Harry, the experienced pilot, senses the awkwardness and decides to open a bottle of champagne to lighten the mood. However, the moment he put the knife away was fully witnessed by Julia. As she holds the champagne, Julia begins to act more and more erratic. Zach is terrified because he knows their secret must never be exposed. By now, the balloon has crossed the highest peaks in the area. However, Julia speaks up again, saying that Zach must deal with this matter as soon as possible.
Take care of what?
Harry senses that the atmosphere is growing more and more uneasy, so he immediately cuts in, saying they should head back and that they can return to the starting point in about half an hour. But Julia keeps pushing.
No, look at me. You don't remember buying me a drink?
I buy lots of people drinks.
What, expensive champagne? Désiré Dubois?
Seeing Zach still playing dumb, Julia exposes him directly.
Your husband thinks he can take advantage of me and do whatever he wants without any consequences. Well, no.
Really? What are you actually
Oh my God,
saying?
Emmy, don't even bother.
As Zach continues to argue, Julia frantically screams that she knows about the birthmark on Zach's body. Naturally, Emmy is instantly filled with suspicion. As the argument escalates, Harry tries to intervene a second time, only to be snapped at by Zach. Finally, Zach admits the truth. A few days before the trip, he saw Julia at a bar unable to pay her tab, so he bought her a drink. He never expected her to use that as an excuse to extort him.
Oh, God, a couple of nights ago, I bought her a drink because the bartender gave a shit.
The story goes back to 3 days ago. Despite being a billionaire CEO of a public company, Zach has no children, because after losing their first child, his wife Emmy developed a fear of attachment. So Zach goes to a bar to drown his sorrows, only to find Julia arguing with the bartender over a drink issue. Seeing Zach being so generous, Julia approached him warmly and sat down, flirting with him in every way possible. But after some hesitation, Zach showed her his wedding ring, stating he loves his wife and is going on a honeymoon the day after tomorrow.
She means the world to me.
Thank you for sharing. I'll remember that.
However, on the way to the trip, Zach received a blackmail message from Julia demanding 500,000 euros. Zach refused and told her to talk to his lawyer. Julia made a threat then, saying Zach would definitely regret it. Zach didn't take it seriously, but he never expected Julia to actually follow them here. Zach insists he never cheated and that Julia is just trying to shake him down. He claims she must have seen the birthmark in photos on social media, but Emmy is no fool.
I think that's enough. Okay, why are we even arguing about
Don't touch me.
You should have just paid the money, Zach.
Well, you think just because I'm nice enough to buy you a drink?
The altitude has reached 12,000 meters. Harry decides it is time to descend and pulls the vent, but Julia won't have it. She isn't finished talking yet. She suddenly makes a move and grabs Harry's knife. Now, even the balloon's radio has been cut off. Harry warns them that if they go any higher, there won't be enough oxygen, and they must descend. Emmy realizes the gravity of the situation and suggests they can talk about whatever she wants once they are down. She begs Julia to let Harry lower the balloon. Julia is no match for two men, and the knife is quickly knocked away. The problem is, Julia grabs a hiking pole and starts smashing the gas pipe. Remember, there is an open flame right above them. The fuel ignites instantly, setting Julia on fire. The others quickly use an extinguisher to put out the flames. Once the chaos settles, Julia is severely burned. Worse yet, the floor of the balloon basket is about to be burned through. Harry then discovers that the rope used to open the vent and descend was burned through during the fire. If they can't descend, they will run out of oxygen and suffocate. With no other choice, Harry risks his life to climb onto the frame of the basket.
Harry.
He carefully reaches out, trying to grab the rope. At that moment, Julia notices what he is doing. Harry finally catches the rope. The balloon begins its slow descent and Harry is overjoyed. But in the next second, Julia realizes Harry is controlling the balloon and moves to stop him. Julia shakes her head incessantly, claiming she didn't mean it. However, the altitude has now reached 15,000 meters. The lack of oxygen causes everyone to feel dizzy. Fortunately, Emmy stays conscious. She remembers Harry's words, they must get down. To descend, she needs to grab that rope. Fighting the dizziness, she pulls out a climbing rope. If she can connect the ropes, the danger will be minimized. The next moment, she carefully climbs onto the frame of the basket. Meanwhile, Zach passes out. Emmy is the only one left conscious. And in this moment, she is practically a superhero. Because of her small stature, she has to climb even higher to reach the rope. She reaches out, but the waves of hypoxia-induced dizziness keep hitting her. But up here at 10,000 meters, the sensation of weightlessness snaps Emmy back to her senses just in time. She tries again and successfully secures the rope. The balloon begins to slowly descend. Emmy then wakes Zach up. After a brief hug, Zach remembers they need to tie Julia up. Strangely enough, he even tapes her mouth shut. It seems he is afraid of what she might say, proving that his earlier story wasn't the whole truth. After saying this, Zach once again clarifies to Emmy that Julia only wanted money, and that he never had an intimate relationship with her. As for the birthmark, he claims it was exposed in social media photos and pulls out his phone to show her. Sure enough, there is a photo on Zach's social media showing the birthmark. However, Emmy's intuition tells her that Julia wouldn't be this crazy if it were that simple. But their conversation is interrupted by a new crisis. If they don't act, the balloon is going to crash into a cliff. But Emmy reacts immediately, realizing that shedding weight will increase lift, so she quickly tells Zach to throw the 4 fuel tanks down. With 1 fuel tank still left unthrown, the hot air balloon reaches the edge of the cliff, and they can only cling to the basket and brace for impact. Luckily, they survive the collision, but the balloon has been torn open. Fortunately, the tear isn't huge. They just need to wait for the balloon to descend on its own. But danger approaches again as a cloud of mist appears in front of the balloon. By the time they react, visibility inside the balloon is 0. Their hearts race. What if they hit the mountains? Just then, Julia notices that both Emmy and Zach are distracted, so she quietly reaches for the knife beside her. Suddenly, she looks up and speaks coldly.
You killed my father. Jens Fisher was my dad.
That's the man who took his life?
He worked for Krieger for 40 years. It was his life.
Krieg is Zach's company. Due to the integration of AI replacing many jobs, he had recently conducted large-scale layoffs. Those who stayed were grateful, but those who were let go were furious. Julia's father, Jens, had worked for the company for decades. He was devastated and even offered to take a pay cut just to stay, but Zach remained heartless and refused him. In his despair, Jens pulled out a gun. Zach panicked and begged Jens for mercy.
Doing these people, they're your friends. You're married, right? So am I. Okay, she means everything to me. She's a kindergarten teacher and she loves kids, and we're desperate for one ourselves. She just had a miscarriage, but we're gonna try again.
Ultimately, Jens took his own life right there in the office. To help Zach move past the trauma, Emmy planned this honeymoon trip, never expecting Jens' daughter Julia to track them down. But Zach remains defiant.
Decision, all right? One that meant the company could survive and hundreds of employees could keep their jobs.
But not Dad. Just a worthless piece of shit.
begging not to be flushed away.
He had a great payout, retirement ahead of him, but he chose to end it all, not me.
My father was everything to me. He was the only person I could talk to. And he was the only person who cared for me when I couldn't cope with all of this. But what do you understand? You understand nothing, you entitled piece of shit with your designer suits and your initial socks.
It turns out Julia did all this just to torment Zach. But after all, Emmy had never harmed her, and throughout the journey she had shown nothing but kindness.
Just give me the knife. I'm sorry for you, Emmy. I never should have married this piece of shit.
Under Emmy's gentle urging, Julia finally relaxed. Given her condition, it's unlikely Julia will survive. But Emmy cannot accept Zach taking a life right in front of her. Soon, Zach collapses due to his own injuries. Emmy has to suppress her fear and check on him. After all, he is her husband. She quickly applies a basic bandage to Zach. But she firmly believes that Julia had already given up on her revenge, so Zach shouldn't have acted. Now, Emmy just wants this nightmare to end. Meanwhile, the tear in the balloon is getting bigger, and the basket below is becoming unstable. The balloon is descending too fast. If this continues, they will likely be badly hurt in the mountainous terrain ahead. The only way to land safely is to ignite the burner so that lift and descent can balance out. Emmy connects the gas tank and hands Zach the igniter to start the flame. She notices Julia's eyes are still open. In fear, she covers her with a piece of clothing. At that moment, the balloon ignites. If all goes well, they can gradually descend and return home safely. In a moment of calm, Emmy thinks back to what happened. Everything started because Zach bought Julia a drink. Zach remained stubborn, insisting he was just being kind. They begin to argue. That's when the scene from the beginning happens. Emmy falls straight through the burned-out floor. After a brief hesitation, Zach throws out the rope and manages to pull Emmy back up. But once she is safe, Emmy clearly remembers seeing Zach hesitate. She confronts him immediately about it. Zach claims he was just in shock and didn't react fast enough. He then promises he will always stay by her side. But they haven't noticed the massive superstorm ahead. By the time they realize it, it's too late. The wind is blowing them toward the heart of the storm. Even trying to ignite the flame for lift is useless, because the hole in the balloon is getting larger. She realizes she can climb up, pull the fabric down, and wrap it back into place.
I think we have to fix the balloon. If we tie down that piece of canvas up there, maybe we can stop losing height.
You're fucking crazy.
Without a second thought, Emmy starts climbing up through the storm. At this moment, she is like a superhero. With Zach's help, she makes her way up step by step. Finally, the balloon is repaired. Amidst the wind and lightning, a struggling Emmy climbs down and ties the rope to the basket. They immediately ignite the burner to ascend. Finally, they clear the storm. Ahead lies a vast, endless field. They smile at each other. Looking at Julia, Emmy suddenly thinks of a crucial point. Julia had mentioned earlier that she knew Zach had his initials embroidered on his socks. You can't see that without taking off your shoes. So why would he have his shoes off at a bar? Agitated, Emmy immediately starts searching Julia's body for her phone. Quick thinking Zach is one step ahead and kicks the phone out of the basket. But never underestimate the wisdom of a woman who suspects her husband is cheating. She immediately demands Zach's phone, and he has no choice but to hand it over. In the deleted messages, Emmy sees everything. The beginning was indeed, as Zach said, Julia just wanted to squeeze him for money. But Zach was in such a hurry to delete the messages that he didn't even finish reading them. There was a video link further down, and that video was filmed by Julia herself. They did indeed have an intimate encounter that night, and Julia recorded it all.
I really shouldn't do this.
That's what makes it so exciting.
Faced with this, Zach suddenly shifts all the blame onto Emmy. He claims that after losing their first child, Emmy rejected all his needs. Zach argues it's all Emmy's fault and starts berating her. Emmy is on the verge of a breakdown. She never imagined her husband was this kind of man. She demands a divorce on the spot and half of all his assets.
You're not going anywhere. You can't afford to divorce me. And you're certainly not getting anything of mine.
And this move by Emmy pushes Zach right to the edge of that hole. Zach panics. This is a height of dozens of stories, and falling means certain death, so he immediately begs Emmy. But Emmy ignores him completely. So Zach starts threatening her.
Hey, if you let me fall, they're gonna pin this all on you. They'll take you down. You won't get away with it. Hey, you will spend the rest of your miserable life in prison. No, help me, help me. Emmy, come back, please, please. Emmy, what are you doing? Emmy, don't.
Emmy responds by pushing Julia's body down. And just like that, Zach falls, clutching Julia as they plummet. Sometime later, the balloon drifts over the forest and reaches the plains. Emmy makes it back to the ground safely. From this day forward, she will inherit the entire Zach family fortune. An out-of-control hot air balloon ride ultimately became the opportunity for her to cut ties with her betraying husband and secure the wealth. The beauty of this film lies in the way it blends high-altitude survival horror with the dark side of human nature in a marriage. The further you watch, the more it sends chills down your spine, yet you can't help but cheer for Emmy's brilliant comeback.